Hello everyone, this is Ange. Welcome to another episode of the Visual Novel Monthly Recap. This time, covering visual novel related news that happened in July of 2024. There is a new group called AN, focusing on translating old, mostly N-scripture-based games, with their first project a translation of the 1999 canon fan game Tenshi no Oshigoto, Their Wishes Afterward. It can be found on their GitHub link. The beginning of July was Anime Expo, which had quite a lot of announcements, so I'll try to skim through them as fast as possible to save time. For those who've been waiting to play Jun Maeda's gacha game Heaven's Burn Red, looks like an official translation got announced. I've heard there's a surprisingly good story in there, including continuing the story of certain Angel Beats characters for some reason. Sekai Project only had a couple of major Anime Expo announcements, the first being Amairo Chocolate 3, the latest in a series by Cabbage Soft, where the main characters continue to add new heroines to his dog girl harem. This is more of an FYI update, but apparently Nekopara After was originally supposed to be DLC for Nekopara Volume 4, something I didn't even know before this year, but NekoWorks confirmed it'll be its own release and is currently slated for 2025. Aksys Games announced a few new otome at Anime Expo, the first being Mistonia no Kibo, The Lost Delight. It stars Applause, who swore to take revenge after losing everything 8 years ago. She begins her search for the truth under a false identity of a maid. The next is Utakata no Uchoronia, an otome about the flying city of Itahari. It stars a noble lady who longs for the world beyond her floating home and begins unraveling various secrets beneath the surface of this beautiful utopia. Both titles will only be on Nintendo Switch. JAST USA had a decent handful of new announcements, the first being a remaster of an old visual novel, Critical Point, which appears to be a short sci-fi multi-route mystery visual novel with a cyborg heroine. They also announced Dreamlike Love with Seira, a doujin game by Ruby-sama, the artist of Niku Niku and Nyan Cafe Macchiato. It's a story about a dream where you suddenly have a loyal maid. JAST also announced Hanamaru 2, developed by the same company who made Inyochu, the Bug Nukige. Thankfully, this supposedly isn't as degenerate as Inyochu, being a Nukige with things like a demon heroine and a kitsune heroine. That said, a few VNDB tags include grotesque in the name, so... JAST also announced Cornelica, which appears to just be a simple femdom succubi harem Nukige. It's made in RPG Maker, but apparently the character artist is the same as the one for Miss Kobayashi's Dragon Maid. JAST also announced Dead in Aegis, Another Record, which is a fantasy to the popular dark plot gay Nukige about magical girls. The big announcement was JAST announcing Daiteikoku, a turn-based strategy developed by Alicesoft. A few notable team members that worked on Rance and Dona Dona worked on this project, and this title is known for taking place in space, something unique for Alicesoft. MangaGamer only had a couple of announcements, the first being an official translation of Rose Gun's Days, written by Ryukishi07 of Higurashi and Umineko fame. It's an action suspense thriller set in an alternate history Japan after World War II. This release will be HD upscaled, but has no other additions that I'm aware of. A minor update during the Ryukishi07 panel was that apparently Kikonia is still on hiatus, with Ryukishi7 now implying it's due to the Russia-Ukraine war after it was originally being because of the COVID pandemic. The only other new MangaGamer announcement is a Nukige by Waffle, the alchemist and his battle-scarred homunculus. The title basically gives it away, a wholesome Nukige with an alchemist who created his own homunculus waifu. Idea Factory, a company known for otome, made a few announcements at Anime Expo as well. The first being Temarina, the Lucky Princess, and the Tragic Knights, an otome about the world where one's status and occupation are determined by the month they were born. This is coming to Switch in 2025. Next was them announcing Battlefield Waltz, an otome written by Katagiri Yuma, who did Olympia Soiree and Tengoku Struggle. This is the story of a girl who lost everything and a talking cursed sword by her side. This title is coming to Switch in 2025. The final title by Idea Factory and Anime Expo is Death End Request Code Z, which is not an otome. It's actually developed by Compile Heart, who made things like the Dead Alive visual novel series. Code Z is a new visual novel plus roguelike RPG hybrid with an all-star cast of familiar characters and an 18+ rating due to high levels of violence. This title will come to PS4, PS5, and Switch sometime in 2025. Kind of out of nowhere, Zeviax, the former CEO of Soul Press, made a long X-Iter update about why he's disappeared for several years in silence. Several years ago, there were many complaints and news articles about Zeviax after Soul Press was noted to be FDB fortified, with people complaining he didn't pay many of his contractors and screwed over many others, and many titles being lost in the process, like a Kickstarter for Iroseka. Zeviax claims he's been working to pay off his debt to certain contractors, a toxic relationship, and moving is part of why he went silent, and he wants to make amends with previous work relationships. Sadly, the important news is that he has no more access to Soul Press emails, so anything not already saved will likely never be saved. For those who like the chaotic comedy EVN series Class of '09, the X-Iter account announced the final chapter of the series, Class of '09 Flip Side. This will apparently star Jekka after she graduated. For those who are interested in anime adaptations of visual novels, the Autry My Dear Moments anime started. The original visual novel was written by Kono Asta of If My Heart Had Wings and A Sky Full of Stars and Ginka fame. If you want to watch this Autry anime, you can do it on Crunchyroll. Looks like Seven Scarlet and Otome, which originally was only on PS4 and PC, is getting a Switch port. Sekai Project released Nekonin X Heart Spin. Apparently, this is a more plot-heavy than the previous Moe Nukige-heavy aspects of the previous Nekonin titles. If you've always wanted to see a visual novel about male idols, P-Cube released B Project Ryusei Fantasia, developed by Mages. We got some notable updates on the staff on the new Katashi anime. The studio who will be working on it is Passione, who's worked on the Spice and Wolf reboot, Harem in the Labyrinth of Another World, Higurashi Gosotsu, High School DxD Hero, and probably most similarly to Nukatashi, Interspecies Reviewers. For those who like Trap on Trap romance, an updated version of the Trap visual novel got an updated re-release called Girls, Girls, Girls Rebirth. It's apparently a free update that is a complete rewrite of the script to deepen character backstories and motivations. It introduces more comedic situations with a stronger focus on cross-dressing themes and characters' feelings. Front Wing released a brand new title internationally in English, Japanese, and Chinese called Lilia and Natsuka Painting Lies. One thing to note is that the scenario writer worked on Kuroino and Euphoria by Clockup, but Lilia seems to be quite the opposite of what Front Wing and the Euphoria scenario writer have done. It appears to be a wholesome slice-of-life mystery story where the two main characters use a unique form of painting to solve mysteries and other people's problems with some emotional feels later on, maybe? And that wraps things up for July of 2024. As always, if you have any feedback, positive or negative, feel free to leave a comment below or on one of my social medias. A huge thank you to the local weeb who continues to be an editor, but also the one who recorded the live streams of the Anime Expo 2024 panels related to visual novels this year. As for my YouTube members, a huge thank you to Armorian, who's been in the Vienna Weirdo tier for 7 months, Alberia, who's been in the Vienna Weirdo tier for 9 months, Sabin Fire, who's been in the Vienna Super Weirdo tier for 11 months, David Mendiola, who's been in the Vienna Super Weirdo tier for 13 months, Lee Douglas, who's been in the Vienna Weirdo tier for 14 months, Marie Antoinette, who's been in the Vienna Super Weirdo tier for 23 months, and Dexter Boston Terrier Dog RIP, who's been in the Vienna Super Weirdo tier for 16 months. Final shout out to Bartek, who's now a monthly recurring paying member on Kohi. Huge thank you to all of you.